Welcome my holistic health warriors, and always to those that are new to this channel, welcome to the tribe. A very special video today, because today we're going to be talking about one topic that's on everybody's mind, and that's the coronavirus. Now, I know there's a lot of fear that is going on right now, so this video hopefully will empower you to take control of your health. Currently, there's no standard treatment for the virus. All medical intervention is based on supportive care, not actual treatment of the virus. Now, the World Health Organization recommends sound, reasonable practices like washing our hands, social distancing, and wearing a mask. But nobody's talking about what I feel is the most important topic right now. And that's, if we're going to get ahead of this pandemic, we need to increase our baseline health. Now, baseline health is based on two things: toxicity and deficiency. So if we look at people who get coronavirus, right, some die and some don't even appear to get sick. Now, why is that? Now, the main variable for those who get infected and become seriously ill and need medical intervention is that baseline health that we just talked about. It's the key to survival and to minimizing symptoms. And most importantly, it's the biggest variable that we have control over, that we can strengthen our natural defenses to the exposure. Now, there's a study done in 1991 that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is probably the most prestigious medical journal in the world. And in that study, it was done by a researcher named Cohen from Pittsburgh in the United States. The study the researchers exposed 391 subjects to the flu virus. Okay, and some got sick and some had little to no symptoms at all. And what the researchers concluded was that the host stress level was the determining factor if participants got sick or not. Now, these stress levels, they were measured by something called catecholamines, specifically epinephrine and norepinephrine. You might know them better as adrenaline or noradrenaline. Now, these were the determining factors as to who was likely to get sick. So, stress can take three major forms, right? You have physical stress, there's chemical stress, and then there's mental emotional stress. And what we're talking about when we say the baseline health, it comes down to two factors. It's basically toxicity and deficiency, which, if we boil it down to, comes down to either too much or not enough of something. Okay? So when we're talking about physical stress, there's a group of researchers studies done called the Angora studies. And they looked at chiropractic care and the chiropractic adjustment specifically. And that study proved that a chiropractic adjustment inhibits the production of the level of these stress chemicals that we just talked about, specifically the norepinephrine. And this makes it an important component to enhancing the host's health. Now, let's discuss immune system for a minute, right? Because we want to talk about effectively that you have two different types of immune system. You have one called the innate immune system, which consists of something called phagocytes. These are cells that engulf pathogens and kill it. They're the frontline defenders of our body. And secondly, we have something called the humoral immune system, otherwise known as maybe the adaptive or antigen system. And they consist of both T cells and B cells. Now, these B cells are responsible for producing antibodies to specific pathogens. This is a more specific portion of our immune system. It's why we don't get sick from the same illness twice, like chickenpox. Our B cells make specific antibodies so that next time we're exposed to the chickenpox, our body can react quickly and keep us from getting infected. The problem is that viruses mutate very quickly, right? They make adaptive immune system ineffective. So it's our innate immune system that's our primary defenses against things like the coronavirus. So now the question becomes, how can we upregulate our innate immune system? Social distancing, wearing masks, these are good practices for trying to limit the exposure, but it looks like this virus is not going away anytime soon. So what are the things that our immune system require in order to fully express itself? And just as importantly, can we prevent a hyperactive response? Because things like autoimmune response or pneumonia, for example, which is a hyperinflammatory response of the lungs, this seems to be very problematic with corona cases. So those T cells that we mentioned earlier, specifically a type of cell called the T regulatory cell, they're important for regulating the appropriate response of our immune system. And it turns out these Treg cells, they're extremely vulnerable to deficiencies in certain nutrients. specifically vitamin D, vitamin A, and omega-3s. Now, the literature is quite clear here. If you're deficient in any one of these nutrients, you're immunocompromised. There's no way about it, okay? And that's the vast majority of the population. Now, this is the simple, cost-effective, and immediate positive impact that you can make on your health and combating the coronavirus, right? So, let's talk about other immune boosters. Now, we all know about vitamin C, but did you know that vitamin C is part of a complex, right? It's part of an immunological cascade. There are other nutrients that are required as well, and one of them is called alpha lipoic acid. And then there's glutathione and vitamin E. So these should be taken in combination. And then lastly, we want to talk about zinc, right? Most people are deficient in zinc. So you want to make sure you get adequate levels of zinc, which is important for the immune system. A good way to determine if you need zinc is what's called the zinc taste test. If you can get some liquid zinc and you can put it on the tongue, and you measure how long it takes for you to taste a metallic taste in your mouth. If it takes more than 10 seconds, it means you're zinc deficient, okay, and you need to add that to your diet. All right, so let's shift gears now. I want to talk about sleep. So according to a researcher named Matthew Walker, who comes out of the University of California, Berkeley, he's basically the world's leading authority on sleep. And he wrote a book called Why We Need Sleep. And he says that 8 hours of sleep is necessary for proper immune function. Okay, so according to Walker, inadequate sleep can cause a drop in efficiency in our immune system by up to 50%. Now, when we sleep, we need to be sleeping in complete darkness, right? This is to ensure proper melatonin production, which helps enhance the immunological response against everything, including infectious diseases like coronavirus. Okay, the last thing I want to mention is exercise. So here's what we know about movement, right? We have an unequivocal evidence that it's a required nutrient, right? There's no two ways about it. The research is quite clear. You need exercise and movement to fully function, right? Your cells expect and require movement just as much as they would require oxygen or blood or nutrients, okay? In fact, exercise has been proven to increase the immune function as we age. Right? It increases something called macrophage activity as well as antioxidant levels. Okay, this again is where we see a benefit in chiropractic care. Right? A chiropractic adjustment improves movement in the spine by correcting something called a subluxation. Now, subluxation is a misalignment of a bone which causes the bone to be stuck out of place, so we get lack of movement. Chiropractic adjustment restores that proper motion and upregulates the nervous system. And this is essential for optimal health expression. When we talk about exercise, right, the literature shows that just simply a daily brisk walk of 30 minutes a day is efficient enough intervention in terms of wellness and prevention, as well as recovery from chronic illness. And neurologically, it's this 30-minute walk a day that actually is kind of like a reset button that brings you from like a sympathetic fight or flight response to more of a parasympathetic repair and rest response. Okay, so now we've given you a few things in your daily routine that you can add. Let's talk about a few things that suppress your immune system. Right, the number one culprit is sugar. Right, and scientists have known this for as far back as 1973, when there was a famous study done by a researcher named Sanchez that came out in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And in this study, researchers gave people a sugary drink and observed a drop in the innate immune response by up to 50%. Now, surprisingly, one of the drinks they gave was orange juice. Right now, everyone thinks orange juice is something good to take when you get a cold or get an infection because of the vitamin C. Well, it turns out that the orange juice actually suppressed the immune response of the participants in the study by up to 5 to 12 hours. Right, that's 5 to 12 hours that the immune response was decreased. So clearly, the amount of vitamin C that you're gaining is lost in the amount of sugar that you're adding to your body. So it's much better if you just eat an orange or take a vitamin C supplement. Okay. Now, lastly, we want to discuss something called emotional stress. It's well documented that emotional stress will suppress the immune function. And unfortunately, with this pandemic, most people are in a heightened state of stress. Right? We combine that with a quarantine, which causes us to lack of sunshine, which creates vitamin D, and lack of movement, right? We're not exercising as much, and we setting ourselves up for a compromised immune system, okay? It's no mystery why we're losing this fight. It's because we're doing everything backwards, okay? The point here is that you should take a proactive approach to protecting yourself and safeguarding your health, right? You want to getting back to emotional health, as we were talking about, right? There are two techniques that I found invaluable in my life, and I teach them to all of my patients because they find value in it too. One is called emotional freedom technique. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of the technique here because there are literally thousands of videos on YouTube. So just YouTube it and you'll be able to see a video, and the technique is very easy to do. Okay, that second technique is something called anchoring. Now, this is a technique that was based on neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, so I encourage you to look at both of these on YouTube, and if you can't find them, just drop me a note, and I'll be happy to send you information and teach you how to do them. Okay, but I think that with a little effort, you'll find that they can drastically remove the stress response to any triggers you have in your life. All right, so that's about what we got. So just to recap, we talked about increasing your movement, okay? One, through chiropractic care to make sure your spine is moving well, to decrease the amount of stress in your body and reduce those catecholamines, right? Epinephrine and norepinephrine. We talked about increasing nutritional health, specifically vitamin D, vitamin A, and essential fatty acids. And then you can also add zinc, vitamin C, alpha-lipoic acid, vitamin E, and glutathione. Okay. We also talked about making sure we get at least a 30-minute brisk walk a day. And then finally, we talked about 8 hours of sleep in a pitch black environment, and reducing our amount of mental emotional stress, and trying to eliminate our sugars, right? This should be a good baseline for giving you the best chance of improving your immune system, so that if you do get exposed to coronavirus, it will be short-lived. It'll the symptoms will be much less than if your immune system was compromised. All right. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you could do me a favor, because I want to get back to living a normal life, as I'm sure you do, share this video with anyone you know, because when we all improve our immune system, right, it's the best way we're going to do to beating this virus. All right. So hit the like button, hit the share button, right? And if you want to also find more stuff, we got a lot of other videos we're going to be putting out. Subscribe to the channel, and then we're going to churn out some more information, and hopefully you'll be part of the tribe. All right. Hope you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, take care.